Welcome to More For Me by yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on with you? How has your week been? Did you miss me? I pray that you are having a good week. Last week was good, and if not, that my prayer then would be that things would shift and head towards that direction, and that you would have peace and comfort of the Holy Spirit in this season and during your journey, and that you have a good, healthy community to traverse with. Speaking of healthy communities. Welcome to the homieship. This is a place and a space, judgment free, where you can be definitely, if you want to join the homieship and try to connect more, who are you going to connect with first? Me. That's who. Um, Click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. That's the first step to connecting with the homies. You can also hit me on social media, leave a comment on YouTube, rate and review. There's plenty of ways for you to reach out to me, but that I can connect with you. This is what we are, what I would like to foster here on the homieship with my homies. That growing community is just that, a healthy community. So hopefully you take that first step, make it official, and join the homieship. But always, for real, you can reach out and holler at your girl if you would like to and need some prayer, someone to talk to, an ear, just to listen, all that and more. It would be my privilege. But if this is your first time, welcome to the homieship. If this is not your first time, I want to welcome you back. What we do here every week, there's no R in week. Come on, tell my tongue to get it together. Like, hello. All right, what we do here every week on More For Me, it's an opportunity for me to talk about my experiences, past and present, even things that I am literally navigating through actively. And I'd like to share those experiences to expose, empower, and equip other people. It's always comforting to know that we're not alone. But as I'm on my journey, why am I sharing this? Because I'm headed towards a destination of more, the destination that God has for me. But the great news is that God wants more for each and every one of us. So there is more for you as well. And so I invite you to accompany me on my journey and let me in on your journey as well. And we can ride this thing out. Our destinations are the same, but we can still journey together. There's a lot of similarities in terms of lessons and principles that can be applied to our life journey in whatever we are facing. But whatever we face, we must remember that good or bad, we are presented with opportunities to become a better version of ourselves. And we want to embrace those opportunities and walk in them. Now, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's going to be simple. There are, I love to say, there's hills, mountaintops, valleys, potholes, random $20 bills on the side of the road, all sorts of things that you're going to find on your journey. But at the end, we are still pressing towards that destination of more that God has for us. And I don't know the exact destination because I'm not God, but I do know that everything from God is good. So I'm with that. And I hope you are too. So we're going to get this thing. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. I had such a great time in the studio with my husband, French F. Thompson III. All things fine and gentry. It was fun. He was a little bit nervous, it seemed, and that tickled me. I literally got a kick out of it. I really enjoyed it, but it's always good to spend time together, and to even be able to share with you guys. So you get to peer behind the veil and see a little bit more of Team Thompson, our growing and ever evolving dynamic, which I love and appreciate. But what is it that we're going to get into here this week? So there's a couple of things that are rolling through my head, and one of the themes for me this previous week has kind of been all over the place. And so I'm probably going to ramble out a couple things that are seemingly all over, but they're going to get us to that same destination, which would be the point that I'm trying to make here as we begin. But I was looking for a nightstand for my son, who has the ability and the capacity to be very tidy, neat, and organized. But he chooses to exercise his free will to do the opposite of all of that. And so as I was rearranging his room this morning, literally, I decided, I said, you know what? I have to move his bed. I thought he was mature enough for his bed to be closer to the wall, but he's not, because now there's like a pencil on the wall and all sorts of marks and stuff hidden on the side of the bed because now it's like a treasure drawer or something. I don't know what's going on. So as I'm rearranging his room, I'm like, I think this guy could benefit from a nightstand. Be able to have a place to set his clock. We got him a clock, so he stopped coming in our room 5 o'clock in the morning. But got him a clock. He has a little lamp that he can utilize, and then a place to store books. He loves reading, so I'm like, let me look for him a nightstand. I see this nightstand on Target, and it looks really nice. But then I look at the ratings on it, and the ratings are really, really low. So I start reading some of these reviews, and I mean, they were hilarious. The literally the low, the 1-star reviews are hilarious. People were so upset about this product. But then there was somebody, after I read like 3 or 4 1-star reviews, people were like, this nightstand is trash. Like, don't buy it. The instructions, it's not worth it. The dimensions, the pieces are off. The next review, was it a 4 or 5-star review? Either way it goes, it's a good review. And the lady was like, I don't really build a lot of stuff, but I was able to assemble and build this nightstand. No problem. Like, the drawer fit, and I'm not good at this. So I don't know what these other people are talking about. Maybe there's something wrong with them. Ha ha. She literally ended her review with ha ha. I'm like, what? First of all, that's inappropriate. But all that to say, like, you have a purchase that you like to make, and these people actually have made a purchase, and they think they're getting one thing, but they're getting something completely different. So it makes it harder to navigate this purchase that you were excited about and that you committed to because you spent your money on it, because you don't necessarily know what to expect. And so that was fresh on the top of my dome, and I wanted to share that. But knowing what to expect allows you to plan and try to deal with the situation that you're facing, right? Somebody mentioned, like, you actually need a power drill for this nightstand, right? So I can't over here with my little hand screwdriver trying to put something in, and it's like, hey, you need to put some power behind this thing to really deal with what you're presented with. One of my homies, like the OGs, really OHs, the original homies, she and we had a very heavy season in the early 20s where, like, we just vibed on deal. It's like, literally, we just dropped that word on each other all the time. Like, once we kind of realized what was going on in our lives, there are a lot of parallels in our lives in general, like, to this day. And once we realized where we both were, like, we would be able to drop on each other like, hey, deal. Like, what you doing? You dealing? Or is like, you need to deal. Like, you got to deal with it. Don't run away from it. Don't evade it. Don't work around it. Like, you have to deal with this thing. And so that's something that I personally have continued to kind of work through and try. Emphasis on try, and try to do with most things that I'm facing. But this other thing had come to me the other day, and you're like, all right, there's that stream of consciousness Kat was talking about. Yep, here it is. But where are we landing this thing? Have you ever caught yourself being overly judgmental about someone else and their decisions or their life choices? I don't even have to take long, like, to give you a chance to think, because even the kindest person, the most thoughtful and caring person, can probably right away think of an example or multiple where you have found yourself being judgmental of someone else. And when I grew up, it seemed like that was a common practice in my family, or we were often evaluating. We learned this well, how to evaluate the decisions of other people and verbalize your opinion about what it is that they are doing. Well, now in the Team Thompson household, just parenthetically, let me say that we have a philosophy that's called focus on you, which is the nice way for me to tell my children, and often myself and my husband, to mind your own business. Focus on you. Even though sometimes there are things that we need to speak into, we could find ourselves so far into someone else's business that we are not focused on ourselves, and our backyard may be on fire as I turn around. Technically, I guess that is the side of my house, but technically that soundboard is in the backyard. But focus on you. Like, your house is on fire, but you over here talking about what? Sheila? Trying to think of a name that was real simple, but whatever's. You focus on what somebody else is doing. Focus on you. All that to say, bring it back. Have you ever found yourself judging somebody else else's choices, their life decisions? Maybe, probably. I think so. Recently, I found myself here, and we've all been there. We're all human. Nobody's perfect. But this opportunity, this situation, literally, and I laugh because it really is an opportunity for me to become a better version of myself. When I tell you this example, that's why I laugh. But it really is a chance for me to become a better version of myself and focus on me. But I found myself literally obsessing over my husband's weight. It's nothing to do with me. So I'm looking, and when I notice that I start like not necessarily commenting, but I am visually inspecting the things that he's choosing to eat. And as he's starting to travel, like, what are your meal choices, right? Has he fallen back to the railroader's way of life, which is to not eat that healthy because he's not at home? Are you still doing that yoga? How's your walking been going, right? What's going on with you? How's that shirt fitting? But I'm like all in his business. Now, the two become one, but at this point, when you're watching his fork every move, like you're just too far, Kat. Calm down. But here's the thing. This is what I really want to talk about. What I noticed is that my judgment and infatuation with this area of his life, which I didn't even talk to him about. Like, I'm just on the sideline. So as he's listening here as the executive producer, he's like, why you all in my way? But like, I'm just on the sideline, just evaluating, going through my head processing, and really, real talk, I'm judging. I realize that it's not really his weight, it's my weight. I have an opportunity to do better. And I literally was beginning to slide. I mentioned a couple of times, trying to eat healthier, better, yada, yada, yada. But I am slowly falling off the bandwagon and starting to slide some of those not so good habits back into what I'm eating. And my food choices are starting to become more and more questionable. All the while, I am not actually addressing what's going on with me. I am literally looking at someone else and evaluating or judging what they are doing. And when I saw myself and what I actually was doing and really avoiding about myself, it had me stumped. I'm like, wow, how much of life when let's just talk about me, right? Maybe it applies to you. But how much of life, how many areas, how many things where I find myself focused or fixated on someone else and what they're doing, the decisions that they're making, how many times can I look in the mirror and actually see, if not that same thing, something in that arena related to that subject or topic that really applies to my own life that I need to address? And now it all comes back to deal. Like, is there something in your life that you need to deal with and that you are not actively facing and addressing that thing like you need to? You aren't putting the energy and the effort into that thing because you're choosing to put your energy and your effort into someone else or into something. I'm not saying that we should not hold each other accountable, that we should not surround ourselves with people who are of like mind. So sometimes I have to challenge where you are and say, hey, that standard is dropping, not in this homieship, right? You got to do that sometimes. But you also need to focus on you. Before I can take care of others, I have to take care of myself. So a part of my self-care is addressing these things, these areas, subjects, topics that I need to deal with. And so I don't really have a whole lot for today. There are not a whole lot of steps in the process. It all starts with us. And I want to challenge us to look at the things that we need to face and actively do so. Sometimes you might be thinking to yourself, like, I'm good. But is there an area that pops out in everybody else's life in terms of something that you see? Oh, how they can improve, what they need to do? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You should do that differently. Is there an area where you are passing judgment or have too much opinion about what someone else is doing or how they're doing it? Maybe that's an opportunity to look in the mirror and search within yourself for the chance to seize the chance. There's always the opportunity to seize the moment and focus on you making improvements and changes, tweaks, and figuring out what is it that you need to deal with and the best way to deal with that thing. So for me, let's keep it going. What am I doing? First step, acknowledge that I have a problem and that I am slipping off the bandwagon. And so now this is one of those areas where I'm trying to figure out, hey, how do I deal with this? And what's going to be something that's sustainable that I can do to improve these choices? And or where did I let my guard down where I thought like, oh, I'm real strong now. Like, I don't eat that. I don't eat that. I don't eat that. And as you know, I'm like, oh, I'm eating that. I'm eating that again. It's no bueno. But really, just taking the opportunity to focus on myself. There are a lot of examples that I could throw out, but I really think that this idea and the example that I've shared about judging French's weight on the sidelines and he doesn't even know it, let alone the times where we choose to verbalize to people where we judge and have too much opinion. But the idea that this is something that I need to work on, but I am choosing to only see it in someone else and not myself. That I will accept the truth and the reality and look to myself first before I look outward to cast a stone, let alone to make a suggestion for someone to improve. Open to the homies walking hand in hand or alongside each other and doing something together. So that can definitely be a thing, which is about to be a thing in the Team Thompson household as we navigate these waters. I'm trying to look over at them, but I can't see them behind the computer screen. But as we navigate these waters towards the destination of more that God has for us when it comes to our temples, the stewardship that we are charged to do of these temples, these vessels that we've been given one of to take care of and steward well. So I hope that you can hear what I'm saying and receive it and know that there are things in each and every one of our lives that we choose not to deal with, that whether we are passively trying to address these things or we're avoiding them altogether. But those things will eventually rise to the surface and or just become a larger stumbling block for us on our journey towards the destination of more that God has for us. So this week, guys, we learning the deal as we focus on ourselves and not on others and the things that are going on around us. We're aware of those things, but they're definitely not our focus. We're going to focus on us and seize the opportunities to deal with what we need to address and face in our own lives, because life is just presenting us with opportunities to become a better version of ourselves. And I want to be the best version of me that I can be. And I hope that you'll join me. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Enjoyed it so much so, you've already subscribed. Go ahead and share this episode with a friend. I'd love for you to rate, review, drop a comment for your girl. I would appreciate to hear from you. What did you think of the episode? Are there some things that you're dealing or not dealing with? We're going to ride this thing out and deal. Shout out to Memes. And as always, remember, God has more for me. God has more for you. Now let's get it. Take care.